All set, Joanne? All set? All set? All right, call to order special meeting, North Smithfield Town Council, September 14, 2023. Can we start the meeting with a prayer and pledge, please?
Thank you for bringing us together today in a spirit of generosity. May we honor one another by keeping an open mind. May we voice our truth and listen with an open heart. May we discern your will to unite in fruitful outcome. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Beauregard?
Here.
Ms. Hamilton?
Here.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Here.
Mr. Ogier? Ms. Alves?
Here. Okay, first item is new business, discussion by council vote or other action and presentation by Bond Counsel regarding General Assembly legislation authorizing bond referendum question for the renovation of existing police station and/or construction of new police station. Hi.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the council. Ellen Corno from Savage Law Partners and the town's Bond Counsel. I was the attorney who helped the town draft the act that was submitted to the General Assembly for the financing of the police station. And I want to get this right. I think what we have here is basically two questions from the council, I believe. And if there's any more, I'd be happy to answer them, but I think I want to start with one. The first one, I think, was, does the council have to act to put the question on the ballot? Does the council have to pass a resolution to do that? Does it have to do anything? The answer to that is no, unless you're changing the date of the election. So the Bond Act, contains language, and it's mandatory language that basically says the question of approval of this act shall be submitted to the voters at the November 7th, 2023 election, or at another general or special election as shall be designated by the council. So if you're not going to change the date of the election, nothing has to happen. The Board of Canvassers does have to certify the question to the Secretary of State's office. I believe that may have been done already, although the deadline is not until the 18th of September. So, but to put the question on the ballot, you do not have to take any action. That's already been done in your prior actions and by the enactment of the bond legislation. Any questions on that? The second question, I believe, is can you change the form of the question? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the answer to that, the question is set forth verbatim in the Bond Act, and it says it shall be submitted in substantially the final form, substantially the following form, and then it sets forth the words. When we initially did the Bond Act, the council was unsure as to which way it was going to go in terms of the police station, whether there was going to be a new police station or a renovated building that would serve as a police station. So therefore we accommodated that uncertainty at that point, and we said that we put both in there, that we put the maximum amount of bonds that the town can issue at 18. That could be for either construction of a new police station or renovation of an existing building to serve as the police station in the determination of the council. So, but the question is set forth in the act. Now, doing the research, after getting the question from your solicitor and conducting the research, there's nothing on point in Rhode Island. There's probably nothing on point in the whole entire United States, but there's nothing on point in Rhode Island on this issue. The language substantially the final form, us Bond Counsel have always viewed that as if there's a comma that was missing, or if there was, a typo or something that we could do. But basically the language is mandated by the Bond Act, so you really can't change it. I would have a hard time, I believe, giving a legal opinion on any bonds where the language was changed by the town council from the language set forth by the General Assembly in the Bond Act.
It could be challenged.
It could. I mean, I would have trouble
Right.
I would have trouble giving the legal opinion on that. So, not this, you know, it's just one of the, there's a certain standard in issuing a bond opinion, and that probably, you know, doesn't necessarily meet that. So, what else? So there are instances where the language has been changed from the act itself, but that's where there's 3 specific instances I know, 2 times in East Greenwich and 1 time in Barrington, where the act itself said that the town council shall insert the schools to be renovated. It was schools, you know, or something like that. So, but in this case, you don't have that language, and again, it's a shall. It, you know, shall be submitted in. I guess the word substantially gives you a little pause there, but not much. No. So the question should go as it is in the Bond Act. If you did feel strongly about changing the form of the question, the only way you could do it is to go back to the General Assembly to get the language changed. So you would have, the way it's set here is you would have to change the date of the election, or pull the question that's already on. Go back to the General Assembly in January and get but I mean, that would be the only way you could do that if you felt very strongly about changing the form of the question. Now, I mean, I've been hearing things about how the town council has decided to possibly go a certain way. Is that could change again? So
That's right.
So why would you, you know, then change the question where it's a little bit suspect, and then tie your hands to going one way? You'd want, I mean, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Has the council taken an official vote that you're going to do a new? No. So, okay. So, any other? There are ways that you can explain the renovation versus new police station. The Board of Canvassers is required to publish, when bond questions are involved and financing questions are involved, there's a state law that requires the Board of Canvassers to publish what we know in the industry as a voter information booklet, or a voter notice that has an explanation of the question, and tells what's the useful life of the facility being financed, what's the maximum financing amount, assuming a certain interest rate, a market interest rate. So the Board of Canvass has to actually publish that in the newspaper. So, and let's hope they know that. So just, I'm assuming, does the clerk serve as the clerk to the Board of Canvassers? No, yeah, so they're on top of that. Okay, cool. So you could, put something in there that the town council has still not decided whether it's going to be renovation, but is leaning toward, or, we're in discussions about that. Whatever you wanna put, that is what's happening at this point. But it's not it can't be changed. The question itself cannot be changed, in my opinion. So. Questions?
So basically, if we did want to see any changes, then the best step tonight would be to withdraw the question from the special election and move it to a date certain, whether it be another special election, or to the general
in next
election
November.
in November,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that would be fine, just to move that out, and that would be.
Right, you would have to take a next step, and you would have to go back to the General Assembly and have them either modify the existing bond act or get a new bond act. Just this one could go by the wayside, and you could have them pass another bond act. So you'd
then
have
it
to
could
go
be
through the
cleaned
steps
up
again.
if we wanted to, right? And then, by doing that, that's when we could change any wording that we wanted to, plus the date
Right.
And then move it forward.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So, Ellen,
Yes?
do you think it's cleaner that way?
To change the,
Well, if there's confusion, if people are confused, if we're having debates, if we're not, we haven't taken a vote, if we're still, up in the air. I'm just thinking of the legal challenges.
I actually
and
don't
things.
think it's unclear at all if you let it go the way it is. I mean, that's what was set forth in the act. You're still, you might be leaning toward a certain renovation versus
right,
a certain project description, but you're not there yet, so it does nothing, it's exactly the way it was, a week ago, before maybe you made some movement toward a new facility, but it's not unclear at all. I mean, it clearly says 18 million, new or renovated school system in the discretion of the council. So, school system, police station.
Okay.
I have a lot of school bonds going at this point.
Okay. So just to be clear then, if we did nothing, for instance, if something happened tonight and 2 people couldn't get here and we couldn't even have a meeting, if we did nothing, then it would be on the ballot?
Correct,
And it would be on the ballot with that wording?
correct,
Okay.
correct.
Anyone have any other questions?
No, I think it clarifies it. Thank you for coming all the way from
No
the
problem.
southern part of the state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, I just want to mention on the agenda, question number 1 was, C1 was put on the agenda because Bond Counsel had not done the research when at the time we posted this. So unless the council is going to entertain ignoring Bond Counsel's language, C1 should not be considered. But that's up to the council.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
C1 on your agenda says, shall the language be revised? If the council were voting to revise the language, they would be ignoring the bond council's recommendation tonight. That was put
Right.
on the agenda because we had not had the completed research.
Right.
I gave you the tentative opinion, and as, we didn't get the research till Wednesday morning,
Right.
and we had to post on Tuesday morning. So I just want you to know why that's number 1 on the list, because we did not have the final answer from bond counsel. The 3 questions are, shall it be revised? 2 is, shall the date be changed? And 3, shall you withdraw it? Those are the 3 questions. If they're the same bond language question, but the key wording is, shall you revise the language? In number 1, question number 2 is, shall you change the date? And question number 3 is, shall you withdraw the question? If you don't change the language, then the only 2 questions are left. Do you want to change the date? And if you can only withdraw the question if you change the date. So really, the only question is 2. But if 2 happens, then 3 would be the next question.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know why that was on there.
So 1, we're just not even addressing.
I wouldn't
No.
address it
Okay.
unless you want to ignore what she said.
Okay.
Well, we definitely don't want
Yeah,
to
we don't wanna
ignore
do that,
what she
'cause
said.
That would be kind of ridiculous for you coming. Okay.
May I read something into the, okay, so I just want for the record, and I apologize for my old computer here, but it's the only way I could figure out how to do it without my printer being on the fritz. So I've never voted for just a one-story option, and I'll be voting to remove this ballot question because I've always stated that I believe we owe it to our residents to provide them with options. I've been hearing from many people that they cannot afford this project, although everyone seems to be in agreement that we must make a safer and better place for the police officers. We still have not received enough information for upcoming capital project needs, such as upgrades to Scouters Hall, Pacheco Park, the fire department buildings, the DPW buildings, equipment, or how the current police, fire, school, and town employee contracts will raise taxes over the next few years. We've not been provided with a potential operating budget for the Hallwell project or the multi-generational building. No one has identified matches for any future grants we may acquire. This type of financial data, I believe, is essential to making sound decisions to moving ahead with a multi-million-dollar project. If we move this ballot question verbatim to another date, we will still have the same problem in not knowing the will of the voters, in my opinion. We need to have more time to meet with and hear what people want and move forward with a question that reflects that. When people go to vote, it should be very clear that they will vote for either 1, new construction for X dollars, or 2, renovation for X dollars. They will make the choice, and we will honor their vote by executing the project. If this is on the ballot in this election, when fewer than 600 voters came out to vote during the primary, we do run the risk of having fewer than 600 people come out to vote, and they will make choices for the 13,000 or so others who are unaware of this important project. There has not been any marketing of this project. There's a flyer that's being designed, but no plan to distribute it. Limited info on our website, no banners, no signs, no ads in the newspapers, no plan to let people know what will happen in less than 8 weeks or less for those who choose early voting. In a presidential election, we can assume that many more will know about the election, and if we have a well-defined, spelled-out ballot question, and if we promote it the way a multi-million-dollar project should be promoted, we will know for certain how voters feel. We owe it to our constituents to listen to what they have, and by having a very clearly defined ballot question. So I just wanted to read that into the record. I'm sorry I took up some time, but I feel very strongly about that.
Chief, do you have
Thank
anything
you.
to add to this? You've been working diligently for the last 8 years.
Can you put your put
I'm
your thing
sorry,
on, please?
Chief,
It's not on, clear.
it isn't.
you
Meaning the bond question?
Yeah, the bond question.
Been working on this for almost 3 years. So,
Just a section, but we started a long time ago as far as when we directly addressed the state of the, still call it the old Bushy School, and this building, because we had to go forth and have a town hall. You know, meeting in schools is great, but it's not the way a town should be set up. And a lot of this was addressed years ago. In a lot of the small towns, if you go through Pomfret, etc., all these small towns, they kept buildings up. For what reason we didn't, I don't know. But it's costly now.
well, as a police chief, the way I understand the verbiage in this question is the town council, the citizenry are voting on an $18 million bond and putting that bond money in the hands of the town council to either build a new station or renovate the old station into a new station, not to exceed $18 million. So you hold the cards in your hand regardless if the voters voted in. I say let the people vote. But you're driving the bus on the whole thing because you just can't spend over 18 million, but you have the decision-making ability to either renovate or build new, correct?
The way it is. Mhm.
I just want to put into the record that I appreciate your comments and the chief's comments, and I'm not so hung up right now on the wording of whether it's a renovation or a new build. Like, you know, yes, obviously we need to do something. The part that I'm hung up on is I just don't think we've done enough to educate the voter. I don't think there's been enough information well, there's really been nothing put out there for the public yet. Mr. Vadnais said just the other night how much work, the amount of work that went into this last 4 or 6 weeks was, you know, unheard of. And yeah, I believe that. It's been rushed. And I don't think, I would love to have public meetings so that we could hear from the public of what they do think about this $18 million. It's a lot of money for this town, especially, you know, when it's not like we have a ton of new businesses coming into town. So a lot of it's going to be absorbed by every household in this town, and $18 million is just a lot of money. And I have been saying it, I don't know, for a couple years now, that I don't think something like this belongs in a special election. It belongs into a general election, and even better, a presidential election, because then we know we're going to absolutely get every voter that would normally go out and vote and do it. And then we can say, yes, you know what? we made a good decision because the majority of the voters went out and made that decision. We don't have 200 or 400 people making that decision, and that's where I'm having a hard time with it. You know, totally understand, yes, whether we do construction or renovation, fine. I understand that the voters made, you know, elected us to make that decision. I get it. But $18 million to put out there, and we haven't had one public forum yet to get thoughts from the community, or what are they thinking? I mean, you know, you have a Facebook page out there. It's not really going great. Like, everyone's not saying that, yes, we need a new station. I don't think the majority out there really wants that station, and until we start getting the word out there of what's really going to be voted on, I think it's going to be too late. And I think we're just going to have a short or a small percentage of our population saying, yes, let's do this new build, and then everyone else just has to absorb it. And I am not saying we don't need it. Trust me, I know we need renovations, or we need a new building, or we definitely need, and we have approved to stop putting repairs into the building. It definitely cannot keep going without any repairs, but that's been going on for many, many years, that there has been no maintenance whatsoever in this building. So now to turn around and say, well, yep, we didn't do maintenance for 6-7 years, and we didn't spend any money, and now it's to a point that it is falling down. And that's really too bad that it's gotten to that point. But I still think until we start having some communication with the public, flyers, even a town meeting, an open town meeting where people can come in and voice their opinion. What do they think? Do they really think we need 18 million? Do they think 10 million? Like, what is comfortable for most of the citizens in our town? And we haven't done that. We haven't done it at all.
Every meeting is a public, open meeting.
Right,
These meetings
but
have
not-
been going on for 3 years. The people I talk to know about it, and they're like, when are you gonna get a new police station?
Right. But not
Um,
everyone looks at the town
Now,
council agenda.
I just wanna ask you, whose responsibility is it to, like, if you run as a candidate, it's like, you put up your signs in front lawns, who in the town is responsible for getting the word out? When we decide on what we're gonna do.
Well, I think
Well,
it's
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, at one of the meetings, Mr. Vadney, you said, and I should have grabbed the minutes before I came, but you said that you will make sure, it's the MBRTF's responsibility to make sure people are informed, and no one is informed. No one has been informed. So, and yes, it's everyone's responsibility, it's the town, but where is there stuff out there? Like, there's a very little blurb on the town website. We just started having a little blurb go out in the newsletter. Like, there should be flyers everywhere. There should be signs out there like, come listen, Tecton, come see the project. And we're not doing that. And until we start doing that and people are aware and can see what we're proposing, I don't feel that it's a special election. I've said it from day one, a special election is not the place for a big decision like this.
May I?
Yeah.
And we just brought up the town website so you can see it, and it does have the Tecton new police station presentation and current state of the North Smithfield police station. Doesn't say what it's for. Doesn't say there's a vote. Doesn't say it's happening in November. I mean, would you know that if you didn't come to these meetings? And not everybody is as astute as some people that come to these meetings, or the few that, pardon? I'm sorry.
This doesn't show if someone looks at it for a mobile device, there's none of this at all.
Right, so, and that's the other thing, it's not even mobile ready, right, mobile phone ready. So, I mean, and we've asked the administration over and over again, we've met several times, we asked at a meeting 3 Thursdays ago, put it prominently displayed on the front page so when people can go to the website. And we even said the website is kind of like one option, but we have to have other options to be able to get to people. We had talked about going on Instagram, we had talked about getting banners, we had talked about signs, we had talked about flyers, and nothing is done. And 72 hours ago, we got a second option of a one-story building that we just happened to be able to look at immediately and were asked to vote on. So I think it, you know, we all want the right thing. We all want to do the right thing. We all are hoping that this gets done and we put it behind us and we don't have to think about it anymore, and you're in a safe, wonderful, beautiful place. But I can't in good conscience do it. I mean, I get a lot of calls from people that are saying, I've been hearing about this vote. I said, well, go on the website, and I look and I said, it doesn't even say vote. It doesn't, what does that mean to people, Tecton new police station presentation? I don't know. So there's no concerted effort to the question that you just posed, Chief. I think it's a very important question. There is no plan, and I know I feel like I sound like a broken record when I say there's no plan. There's no plan. There's no plan.
Well, yeah, and I sound like a broken record, and it feels like Groundhog Day, because in November, I believe it was 2020, we chose Tecton, designed a two-story, had a public hearing, went through the whole building. It was too much money. Went back to the drawing board, shrunk the footprint. Inflation went up. It actually came out projected as more. Then we had another meeting, and the first floor option was chosen. And that was the last one presented. So even, we've been sent back, we meaning myself and Tecton, to shrink this project. And even Rebecca said at the end of the last meeting, if you project it out to 2026, it's 19 million. So every time we've presented something, we were sent back to change it. In that time frame stretched out. We had a two-story for the middle election for the House of Representatives and Senate, right?
Right.
And we were told that we can always have a special election. Representative Cicilline resigned. A special election was placed in our lap. We didn't have to pay for, which we're on the cusp now. Now we're talking about a presidential election, which is the third election would be if we were to pass this one. So I'm just looking at it on my end for my men and women in the department, how it's frustrating when, and I get it, it's, the numbers are the numbers. You paid a lot of money for Tecton to do a statistical projection of what this police station would cost at every step of the way, every square footage. So I just think you're not going to, you're looking for an answer. I don't think you're going to get a different answer unless you totally, I don't know, scrap the whole plan of renovating new or build new. That money really isn't going to change. And if you look around the state, all the different projects, they're all about the same. North Kingstown PD, last I talked to the captain there, it was like $758 a square foot. South Kingstown schools, I think they were up to, I talked to Administrator Manny down there, it was like $900 a square foot for a school there. It's a lot of money. And I get the importance. I'm a little confused on the, once we decide, even tonight we're deciding on this. So it's tough for, I think, anyone to really put on any information when we haven't really locked on to one idea, one action that we're going to take as a town. And I think Mr. Vadney said it clear, unless we're all on the same sheet of music and want this one thing, then we can go forward and feel confident at advertising and promoting it, right? And I fully understand. I have a folder here from the bond from 2014 on all the flyers that went out then. I mean, I get the cost, and I know not everyone can afford tax increases. I get it. I just wish we have more clarity in, you know, who's doing what and what are we promoting, you know. But again, I go back to the bond question. It's clear to me when I see it, and you know what? You're not going to get everyone to come out and vote for every election, even the presidential election.
No.
No,
I
but
get
you'll
it.
have a
And-
lot
and
more.
I come from the school that a responsible citizen knows these meetings, they watch them in YouTube after the fact. People don't have time to come here. They have families. I get it. I know. all my people watch these meetings on YouTube after, because they wanna know what's going on. And they watch the meetings, say, hey, chief, I saw you speak on this, I saw you speak on that. So people watch it, people know. People aren't, and I don't wanna make a bad term, but people, there's not as many people in the dark on this as you think. However, there are people that don't know what's going on. Of course. But you do also have people that are very concerned, especially the citizenry in North Smithfield. There's a lot of people that follow everything. And I just need, you know, it's election after election, you know, project after project, estimation after estimation. And, you know, it's getting frustrating.
I can understand that. It's frustrating for us too, you know, but we have a responsibility, I believe, to the,
Chief, I'm going to agree with you on this. First of all, that school was not designed for what is needed today. You go anywhere, you look at the designs, what's needed. Between you and I, a lot of the equipment you have is, and I think, John, a little outdated. And your men make the best of it, but this idea of fixing something that the only thing we're doing is changing style, not doing what we should be. We've been working on this for so long. And the days of people coming to the meetings, and most of you people remember them, when chairs were up here, people were sitting on the stairs going up to the top balcony, standing up. It was unbelievable. But those people now are even older than I am. In this type of night, and many of them are frail, doesn't mean they don't keep up with things. But it means your sights are somewhere else. Your health could be somewhere else. This project has gone on too long. And there's certain people from day one, they never wanted a new station. They never wanted things updated. And as they did some renovation with what was chosen to do, they ran into more and more trouble. It's like layers. You look under, oh my God, that's gone, that's gone, that's gone. Nothing is going down. Nothing is going down. Does everybody, do people who aren't as secure as they could be want it? Sometimes things have to be. And we need a place for our young men and young women to be safe, to be able to have the space, the room, everything that is needed. And we have, in North Smithfield, we never kept up with our roads. Now we're going down the road and it's very expensive. Hannibal today, if it was kept up with, would still be there. And it wasn't. So again, things are lost. But thank God, with the two other schools, with the person in charge, they are keeping up. We're making sure that we meet all the state mandates there, whether it be labs or anything else. Because the state is coming down on a lot of schools for safety, etc., and they're cited, and they have to be fixed. And if it was done way back. But we never had a station to begin with. You even brought the cells with you from underneath Old Town Hall. And that's meeting the needs of sizes, etc. No one wants to have to make certain sacrifices if it doesn't really pertain to them, if they don't think it does. And as much as I think this town needs a senior center, we need the safety of our citizens taken care of first and foremost. And I want to live to see both of them done.
Madam President, may I? Paulette, when you said that you were getting a lot of phone calls about people that have concern about the police station, sounds like people know about the police station. And when you mentioned about the Facebook page, there's over 200 comments on there. People know about the police station. We could do a better job, absolutely, about getting the word out, but, and we will. But we've been this has been going on long enough. And I tend to agree with the chief, and I agree with Claire, that it's time. If you are for a police station, if you are for the police station and you don't vote and it doesn't happen, then you have only yourself to blame. And the reverse is true too. If you're against the police station and it passes, then shame on you. You should have got out and voted. Now, how do we got to notify people to get out and vote? But people knew about the primary election too, that we just had. But people don't vote in primary elections.
Exactly.
Right, that's the point. But they knew about it and they had an option to vote. So if their guy didn't get in, then they have only themselves to blame. But they knew about the primary election, so it's their responsibility to get out and vote. I think we only had, how many people in the state voted in the primary election? Like, it wasn't even very much. But everybody knew about the primary. So shame on them for not voting, because if their guy didn't get in or their girl didn't get in. So we got to get the word out, I agree.
Yeah.
But if they don't show up to vote, then they can't complain.
No, but we're also not advertising, like we talked about, let's do a front page ad in Valley Breeze, let's do something in NRI, let's, you know, and none of that's happening. So yes, people may not come to the council meetings, they may not watch the YouTube, but they do get the Valley Breeze. So even if it's something stuck on the front of it, and, you know, do you know about the upcoming ballot question? Do you know about the police station? Do you want to know? Like, come get some information. But we've been talking about it, and nothing's happening. And now another week is down, and so now we're in mid-September. So now we're going to hurry up and try and get everything going before, you know, early voting and then the actual election day, and it's not going to be out there. Like, I think, and you can say, yes, it's the voters' responsibility to go out there, but it's also our responsibility to make sure that people know there's an $18 million bond question on a special election, and they should know about it. So that is our responsibility to make sure they do know about it, and it's not, we're not making it a priority. It's not out there. And I'm not against the police station. You can say that, you know, if you don't vote for it, it's not because you're not for it. That's not it at all. I totally agree that something needs to be done. I'll be the first one to say it, but do I think it needs to be done at the price tag of $18 million? I don't. I really don't. But I surely would like to know that everyone who is registered to vote in town knows that on this special election, there's going to be a really important question that if they don't get out there, they might wake up the next morning and say, wow, my taxes are going to be sky high in a couple of years.
I agree 100%.
And not to mention, all, like you said, yeah, all the other stuff that normally takes place. Plus, so I wouldn't even want to give them an estimation of how much their taxes are going to go up, because that's just with the police station. But now you've got all the usual stuff like we talked about, the stuff that's going to happen anyway. You got that on top of it, and you know, I just don't think that we're doing due diligence to get the voters out there, because we haven't done anything yet.
I agree 100% with what you're saying about getting people out there and getting the word out. But if we started putting, and it's not too late. Now we should start putting, it's not too late to put ads in the Valley Breeze and NRI now. Had we put ads in the Valley Breeze in September and said there's a meeting in 6 weeks, nobody would have paid attention to it. But if we start putting ads in the paper now, in NRI now, closer to the date of the meeting, then that's something that people will pay attention to.
There's a meeting next week. There's nothing in the Valley Breeze today.
Nothing in Socket Call, who's
You know,
here tonight?
Yeah, when Socket called, I mean, luckily he's, you know, Joe's been
Thank
coming
you.
out to the last 2 meetings, but other than that, and our first meeting is the 20th, correct?
Mhm.
So, and there's nothing advertised about it. So, I don't know, who's gonna come?
Can I address the council, Madam President?
we want to open up to public comment?
Open up the floor. As a representative, chairman of the municipal building review task force, of what it represents.
Excuse me.
or what it represents you.
Excuse me.
Right.
He is right, technically, you don't have to open up the floor to
No, but
let
if
a
we're
member
gonna
of the
let
board
someone
speak.
speak, we should let everyone speak. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Hearing none. Madam President, hearing none, may I, I'd like to clarify something that was said earlier about the administration has pretty much not done anything to get the word out. Carl, do you mind up there on the homepage, do you mind tapping on Police Station Bond Ballot Question Education Forum? Do you mind? Thank you. So I want to remind everybody that on August 24th at 6 p.m., two councilors, myself and the finance director, met to discuss an educational forum and scheduling dates. So August 24th at 6 p.m., we came to these dates right there. You'll notice that this was posted August 25th at 9, I can't read that far, 9:24 in the morning. So this administration has been diligent in putting information out as it's come to this administration. I just want to make that clear because I heard it at the last meeting and I heard it today at this meeting. So just for clarification, thank you.
Well, I'm not going to get into an argument, but I don't think that that would tell people that they should come to this because there's a vote, as it says at the bottom, on the 7th. It doesn't give any additional information about why it's important for someone to come. So, I mean, that's a good attempt, and I appreciate it. But we're supposed to be making it easier for people to come out and vote. And I don't think we're doing that yet. I don't think that we have a plan yet. But, you know, the issue of marketing is not as important as listening to what people are saying, I think. And they're saying they can't afford it.
If people can't afford it, that's another thing. If we waited another year,
We'll never be able to
then
afford anything.
we're not only
with this
the
economy.
bound language that we're going to have to change is also how much the price tag is going to be. It's going to be 19 million now. So keep that in mind.
Can I comment to that?
Well,
Excuse me, can I comment to Mr. Clifford's remark? I can't? He can talk it out and I can't?
no.
I mean, we didn't open it
He
up, so
didn't.
we're not
He
even.
didn't.
Well, then he better close him up if I can't open up.
Does anyone want to make a motion or have any other discussion?
I'd like to make a motion to remove the ballot question as is verbatim and go back to the legislature and provide a more detailed ballot question and put the ballot question on the presidential election ballot
On 2024?
in 2024, I'm sorry, yes.
Would that be number one?
No, one we don't have
One.
to do.
So it
That's
would
two,
be,
isn't it?
would be 2.
So we have a motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm not clear on the motion and which, it sounds like it's number one, though.
So, no, it's number 2, right? We're talking about item 2, right?
I think Councilwoman Hamilton combined 2 and
Two.
3, but they're both on the agenda, so there's no reason why you couldn't do that. you can either vote for them, you can either make the motion, because number 2 talks about setting an alternative date, and number 3 talks about
Withdrawal.
withdrawing. So
But she talked about the language as well, though, so that's 1, 2, and 3 encompassing that.
I guess that's a good point. If you want to break them up, or
Yeah, break 'em up.
however you want to do, Council. But they were all on the agenda, properly noticed. All those issues are properly before you. 1, 2, and 3.
So do we need to redo the motion?
I guess, just for clarity,
Okay.
why don't you take one
Withdraw my motion.
one motion at a time, just so
Okay.
that,
And I withdraw my
I-
second. So do number 2, discussion by council vote or other action on designating an alternative date other than November 7th, 2023 at a general or special election other than a primary election, when a North Smithfield bond question will be voted that would authorize the town of North Smithfield to issue bonds or notes in an amount not to exceed 18 million for the development and construction of a new police station or renovation, improvement, alteration, and repair of an existing building to be used as a police station as determined by the town council and the furnishing and equipped thereof.
Okay, so then my motion will be specific to number 2, stating that I'd like to provide an alternative date of November, whatever it is, for 2024. I'd have to get that. At the general election, presidential election in 2024.
So that's a motion. Is there a second? I'll second that motion. Is there any further discussion?
The only discussion I'd like to add is, if there's 2 people in your life that you should listen to, it's your doctor and your lawyer told you that we should go forward, and that this is the proper way to do it.
She said if we chose to go forward, we can't change the language. We have to provide it verbatim. We can change a date with the verbatim language as is. I'm suggesting to follow which you pointed out very well, that I jumped the gun here, so I'm pointing out the discussion by vote or other action on designating an alternative date. I suggest a date of November, I guess, 7, whatever it is, 2024 presidential election. So I'm just going to do that part for this motion.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad,
No.
Ms. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara,
No.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. And then, number 3, discussion by council vote or other action on withdrawing from the Rhode Island Secretary of State, North Smithfield, the bond question to be voted for at the special election to be held on November 7th, 2023, that would authorize the town of North Smithfield to issue bonds or notes in an amount not to exceed 18 million for the development and construction of a new police station or the renovation, improvement, alteration, and repair of an existing building to be used as a police station as determined by the town council in the furnishing and equipping thereof.
So my second part of my motion would be to act to, second motion, I'm sorry, would be to withdraw the bond question from Rhode Island Secretary of State of the North Smithfield special election, which is scheduled for November 7, 2023.
That's a motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad,
No.
Ms. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara,
No.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. All right, and discussion, vote, or other action in regards to future public hearing dates for the November 7th, 2023 ballot question.
We have them up there. CJ, can you bring them up?
Oh, that's the open forum dates, is that what this is referring to?
I think so.
That was forum dates.
Okay.
That's what this agenda item is referencing?
I'm sorry?
Is that what this agenda item is referencing?
I didn't have any input on this
Yeah.
agenda at all, so whoever
Okay.
put that discussion, you might want to pose that question. It's regard to future public hearings.
Yeah, it's right there.
Madam-
Yes, sir.
Madam President, when we left on Monday, there was a discussion about potential further additional dates, and nobody voted on that item, so I carried that on to
Okay.
this agenda. Now, if you don't want to discuss that, you don't discuss that, but it wasn't, there was no final conclusion about any additional dates about that. That's my understanding, and I could stand corrected, but that's why I carried it onto the agenda.
Okay. Mr. Vadney, did they get back to you for any dates, any other additional dates, or?
Paul Vadney, Chairman of the Municipal Building Review Task Force. Tecton didn't give me any additional dates because no decision was made on Monday night, so everything is kind of like in limbo. But they've continued to work on this project now. I'm gonna give you two different flyers. I only have two, they're in black and white, they're in color. I can have them in the administrator's inbox in 5 seconds. You tell me which one of these you'd like to see to be able to be. We continue to work on this. Tecton will be ready on Wednesday, the 20th, to do a full presentation. And going forward, if you'd like anything that you need for marketing, all you need to do is let us know what you're looking for, and we can provide you the artwork so that it can be done. Now, in speaking with Tecton, they also offered, they have vendors that they use, that if the town would so choose, and they said, oh, we'd like to have renderings that are 3x5 or whatever, they can have them done, and they would build a town for them, and they would go through their vendors. That's an option that you guys have. My recommendation would be to authorize a not-to-exceed number. If that's what you want to do, is have Tecton provide some of that stuff. It may be more expedient to have them do the rendering, give it to their vendor, and have it ready at the presentation that they're going to do. So that's an option for you, rather than them sending it to me, to send it to the town, to go out and look for a vendor, to have it printed. But Tecton is ready to present on Wednesday. The task force is ready to present on Wednesday. And so you have two flyers there, two different flyers. Tell me which one you want. I'll make sure that the administration gets it.
Did you see him, Claire?
So on one, why does it say, construction of a new facility or renovation of the existing police station to be determined? We didn't see any renovation, options, so why would we say that?
Because that's what's in the language. They base that on the language, the bond ballot question language.
But I think that would be confusing, because if someone says, okay, yeah, I would like it renovated, not to exceed 18 million, so in their head, they're obviously not gonna spend 18 million.
So do you want to remove the word renovation? All I gotta do is send it to Tecton, they'll edit it, and I'll have it in the morning.
Ellen, does that make a difference?
I think if what you're doing here is having informational meetings. You can't sway one way or the other. You're not allowed to spend town money on lobbying. So you need to have both in there and probably present on both.
In the presentation that Tecton is going to start with the public forums, they're going to go back to when they first started on this project. And they're going to go through all the different iterations that they've gone through, from looking at renovating it and what the cost would be and what the impact is and why it's not feasible, to a 22,000 square foot building, to an 18,000 square foot building, to a 14,000 square foot building. They're going to go through all of that. It's still a recommendation of the task force that we're looking to build a one-story new building, 18 million. That's what's going to be presented. So it's not going to be that people aren't going to know what's being presented, because that's what's going to be the end result of all of the forum. Is this is the building, just like you got a presentation of Monday night. Questions will be asked, questions will be answered, just like they were on Monday night. It's just, if you want to market this, we'll work with Tecton to get you guys anything that you need, any artwork that you need. That's what the promise from Tecton, that was the promise from me. And we're going to be at all these meetings. The task force is going to be at all these meetings. But you've got to make decisions and tell us what you want to get out there. Which one of those flyers would you like to see? Pick one, tell me if you want to edit it. That's where we're at. That's where we're
Well,
at. I couldn't even sit there and tell the Valley Breeze on Monday night, there's gonna be a forum on the 20th of September, because I don't know that.
Yeah, we knew that.
Huh?
We knew that.
You did?
We all knew that there was going to be a meeting on
What if you,
September 20th.
what if you voted to pull a question tonight?
Well, up until that point, and until
Well,
a
we
decision
had-
was
so
made,
we hadn't had
but
any-
there is no information out there. Like, if someone comes to this meeting, I'll be surprised. Because even Jeff from Tecton has said he goes to these places all over the state or different states, and he's lucky if he gets one person attending.
No, we said sometimes he gets one person.
Well, okay, so sometimes he gets one, maybe sometimes he gets 5. There's a lot of other people, and there is still, in my estimation, and I don't know how everybody else feels, not a game plan. When you say marketing, marketing to me is not getting a logo produced, it's having a plan when certain things are gonna be done, like putting up banners. I saw banners go up for Pumpkin Fest, right? I haven't seen, but banners go up for, there's a vote on November 7th. I haven't seen that, right? I mean, we have asked for announcements to be made at sports games. We have asked for, you know, the administrator, and I don't know if you had a chance to yet, to get in touch with the superintendent to be able to utilize the schools, to put it on the board, to put it on the police board. I mean, we've been talking about this and talking about this and talking about this. And we're here saying, oh, just tell us which one you want, and we can start getting them produced. To go where? To go where? That, I mean, and I'm not being facetious. I just don't know where they're gonna go. Like,
Where do you
are
want
they
them to
gonna
go? Where do you want this stuff to go?
We-
That's your decision.
Well, we're not
We're
advertising.
we're
We
providing,
are
can I finish,
part-time
please?
individual
Can I finish,
people.
please? We are providing the artwork, the displays, whatever it is that you request. If you want us to even go forward and have it printed for you, I gave you an option to do that. But that's your decision, not mine. I don't have a budget. I don't have any money in my account to do this. If you want to do that, take a vote, which you can do tonight, to authorize Tecton to spend a not-to-exceed number to provide you with whatever it is that you want. You want a banner, they'll have a banner made. You want renderings done, they'll have renderings done.
Okay. And.
Give us the direction, that we need, that you want, and we'll provide it. That's the point. If I couldn't sit there and give you a new flyer telling you that there's gonna be a forum on the 20th, because when we left Monday, everything was in limbo. We did not know that there would even be a meeting on Wednesday, on the 20th. We didn't even know that.
So I think those of you who voted in the affirmative should give some ideas here too. I'd love to hear other people's opinion about, if we have a banner, where does it go? How long does it stay up? I mean, these are things we need to talk about. We're talking about, you said it, right? And I agree with you that we have to get more information out, but we could have stuff printed and it can sit here till November 8th, unless there's a game plan about where it's going, who's getting it, how many are being given to people.
May I see this?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't see it? Oh, I thought you said you saw it. I'm sorry.
So can I
Oh,
just
I'm
ask a
sorry.
question? What are we doing to prepare for Wednesday night's meeting to get people here?
What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
We've done it. It's been out, it's been in the paper.
This is it?
No,
This is all we're doing?
It's been in the paper that we're having these meetings, that there were public forums. It's been in the Breeze.
Really?
Really?
Not as an ad, it's in part of the story.
Oh, well, okay, that's not ideal.
You want people there, you get me those big signs I'll hit the high school, the middle school, where people let them out. I'll go to the elementary school. I'll go to the the senior housing complexes, if it's good size. I'll put it right in there, and at the other places. Markets, forget it. Let's face it, you're running in and out, there's too much. Perhaps you ladies could call talk shows and say, we want you to become involved, this is your town. And we don't have to pay for it, it's not even an advertisement. Do something like that. See these chairs? They're empty. I read all the stories. If you don't read everything, it's very informative.
Would you like me to send something to like ON? Dave Richards, I'm sure will put,
Yeah, we already
blurb.
discussed this, Paul. We said we wanted it on the local radio stations, and I think it was Claire that brought it up as a public service announcement, and that was one thing she had mentioned before, and we had actually talked about that at our Thursday meeting. So I would love to see that, and I think others would like to see that too. That's another small audience.
Yeah, I don't think there's any wrong
But it's
answer. Do you
not
want it here?
right.
Yep. Do you want it here? Yep.
Everywhere,
Right.
everywhere and anywhere.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure we can get banners made, I mean,
Do you want to
can we,
look at it?
Ray, can we still get banners made for town? So how long do they take to turn around?
Overnight.
Huh?
Overnight. It all depends on who's going to do the graphics, so figure a week.
So,
Chief,
I mean, you know, I don't know why we're not doing it, you know, I just, and just a front page ad in the Valley Breeze or something, you know, something that's in red, or, you know, make sure you're aware of this. Do you know, are you aware? Like, if not, then here's some meetings to come to, like,
And then the other thing is, and I've thought about this, and I don't know if it's something we want to do, is if nobody can commit to this and get a game plan together, let's hire a firm.
I recommended that earlier on.
You did?
Yeah.
I knew I heard it somewhere.
you have a firm. You
No, we
hired
don't
tech,
have-
you
we don't have a
hired
market.
Tech Time.
I understand, but they're not a PR
That's
company.
not-
They have marketing group with them. You just have to decide what it is you want
we
marketed.
want advertising.
I mean, it's simple. It's marketing. And if they have, are they gonna charge us extra for everything we ask? See, that's something we have to know too.
business, of course they are.
Yeah.
They'll provide that artwork.
So that, the artwork, good. Oh, God.
All right, well,
They will
let's
provide
see
the-
how many people
they
come
will
Wednesday,
provide
and
the
we can
artwork.
go from there.
If you want them to print it, I've already stated now, this will be the third time, take an action of a not-to-exceed number that will authorize Tecton to get some of this stuff printed if you want
I
it
mean,
printed.
it just
Print
be, I mean, why can't we just print it? I mean, why are we gonna pay Tecton to print flyers
that's
when
my
they were
point.
supposed to just send us the template and we could go from there? And then that way we could hit, like we're talking about, hit the schools, hit the sporting
That's my-
events.
It's right there.
Okay,
Pick one, or you want both of them, either one. They'll be at the administrator's office in the morning, and you can put them in the copier and run 2 reams of paper and get them out there. You just have to decide what it is you want. I can't tell you what to put out there. All I can do is give you the information.
It's not just having it printed, it's having a marketing plan about who is getting the information, how are they getting the information. If it is a printed piece of material, where is it going? Is it going in the book bags? Is it going to the schools?
Is it
And
going
having
into the
an
basket?
individual to take them there to ensure that the request has been completed. So, and I don't think that that's something that we, I mean, we all work. I'm sorry. No, you don't either.
I have 2
Some of us
grandsons, I
work.
work hard.
But, you know, this is, I think we have to have maybe just a firm that comes and, you know, John had suggested it before, I think it's a good idea.
That's your prerogative. That's your prerogative, not
Will you
mine.
make that motion, please?
Can we legally
Oh,
put
we
these in
can't.
mailboxes?
no.
You can't. How do you, with kids, what do you stick it in the
As
door?
as part of the plan that we've talked with Tecton, and Tecton has already mentioned it numerous times, as we go through this, they will develop a frequently asked question flyer, different things that will get put up there so that people will say, okay, these have been asked, these are the answers. They will help to design an EDDM for the town that can go out. Again, you'd have to have it printed, you'd have to have it go through the post office. It's a fairly cheap, inexpensive way to get everybody to understand it.
Then
You just
do
have to,
it.
you just have to decide what it is you
That's what we're
want.
trying to do.
Hmm?
Let's do it. If we can do that, it's gonna cost us anyway. Everything costs today.
Yeah, we're going around.
Water
Well,
costs today.
Mrs. Zelinski, could we just have your assistant take care of putting some ads in the Valley Breeze, NRI Now, The Call? I'll take care of the sporting events. I'll talk to the AD, see if they make some announcements at sporting events. Can we just get that rolling with the ads?
Well, I currently don't have an assistant that's on a medical, so certainly I think I can endeavor to get it out. Once I know what is going to be disseminated, I can get it out. Now, as far as going to the school department, of course, I will contact the superintendent once we know what it is we're disseminating.
We
So
have
that
the
decision
flyer,
has to
right?
be made.
We have the flyer, so
Decide.
No, I can ask for announcements to be made at the games. That's easy.
As far, Mr. Vadney hit, you do have the architectural firm that has in-house graphics, they have in-house marketing, they have what we need for turnkey and to expedite this. It's the decision of the
I
town
think we're
council.
overcomplicating this, though.
I mean, we don't have much time, so
So let's
to
stop
start
talking, let's
engaging
start
with
doing
a
it.
firm and start trying to market this now when our first meeting is Wednesday is just, we'll just see how many people come Wednesday. Hopefully, we get a house full.
Madam President, I don't mean to interrupt. I just don't want you to overlook the point made by Bond Counsel that because the decision has been made, we now know you're not going to change the language. The presentation will have to include both that you advertise. They may have to say that what the number is and the recommendation may be, or the task review, the task committee may be new, but you're going to have to advertise that either option is available, and a discussion about the cost of the renovations would have to be part of that presentation, based upon what I just heard from Bond Counsel, to avoid lobbying
Right.
violations.
So the one that said that construction or renovation with the 18 million, that one would be fine?
Yeah, I just think you have to, because the decision has not been made as to whether or not you're going to do new versus renovation, either you present pictures of both. I mean,
They know the old. Let's show them the new. They go by it
Can
every
you,
single
can
day.
you go up to the mic? I'm sorry, Ellen, just so we get you on record.
Mr. Vadney, how much was, I don't recall, but how much was their renovation? Because if we need to talk about renovation and it doesn't even fit within the $18 million bond, is that,
The renovation number was from early in 2021, and I believe it was like 17.3 back then.
so with
That was-
escalation, it's probably over budget?
And that wasn't a renovation strictly, that was a renovation with an addition, correct?
Correct.
So
But
that's
you
not
need-
really a renovation. No, it really isn't. It isn't. A renovation is renovating an existing building, not
Well,
adding something to
Well, they
it.
had to add a Sally point.
if you want to, I would like Ms.
Absolutely.
Bono
I'm
to
sorry,
speak,
I'm
because,
sorry,
you know,
I'm
you're
sorry.
paying her a lot more money than me.
So I haven't had to research this in a very long time. In my earlier days, I used to be counsel to the Secretary of State's office for ballot questions and things like that. And I do know that there are, there's probably statutes and there's a lot of case law on what cities and towns can do to advertise or to, inform people of a ballot question, inform its citizens of a ballot question. I mean, that's just what you have to do. You have to be informative. You cannot be,
Let's face it.
advocate one way or the other. You cannot, and there's probably spending limits and things like that on what you can advertise. So you have to be very careful, and probably any ads should be run by your solicitor. When bond issues are, the town is trying to inform its residents of a bond issue, A lot of times, unless it's a decided project, you don't really see the pretty renderings. You know, what you see is, you see 18 million, you see, yeah, or you know.
just see
You
figures.
see both, right. So you usually see 18 million, you see assumed interest rate, market interest rate of, right now, it's about 5%, 4%. Over the life, it's this much, this many payments, it's this much on the tax rate, you know, excess.
We have that information.
Yeah, you have to have all, and that's exactly what,
Right, and that's.
the facts is what you wanna present. You know, completion dates, when it will start, when it estimated to be completed, the traffic impacts in the area of the construction, you know, just the facts, not, you know, so you just have to, I'm just, you know, there are things you have to worry about when you're advertising. Now, if you're just advertising, there's a, election on such and such date,
Yeah.
here's the ballot questions, and here's you have a candidate, obviously, on this one. You have you know, the Senate, the
CD one.
seat.
You
and
can't
the
put a check mark, vote yes on it, you can't do that, we know that.
Yeah, so, you know, just very, very factual, and if you have all that information, that's great.
The
So-
forms are gonna be factual information, we're not sitting here saying, hey, vote for this, this is the
Yeah,
information.
yeah.
That's what our goal, and that's what our aim is, and that's what we've been collecting, we have
Right.
a ton of
Right.
data.
The advertisement that I saw, though, has the rendering for the new police station.
Correct.
So, okay.
So is that allowable, or would you recommend that we put a rendering
It
that,
says it's a conceptual drawing.
It doesn't say conceptual, I know.
It's-
I'd be a little nervous about putting only one. I would say either none or
right?
both.
The other
If you're
thing,
gonna put a drawing.
I'm sorry.
We could show them a rendering of the renovated addition, we have that as
Yeah.
well.
I was gonna ask you a quick question. We have some photos that are on various websites, but one is our website here on the town website of, you know, horrible pictures of falling ceiling tiles and things that John took. He did a great job of, you know, but it is kind of showing only the terrible parts, you know, so is that a problem, or is that something we should be worried about, that we should maybe not have those up there, or, you know, is that an
It's such a
influencing
hard-
thing,
it's
you
a
know,
hard
I'm just
thing.
trying to
I mean,
play
it-
devil's
it's-
advocate, I don't know how that works.
It's influencing that you know, you've got some safety issues and
Correct.
stuff like that, and we need it, but that's something that's the reason why you're here and doing it, and that's why you
Okay.
put the bond issue on, you know, on the ballot in the first
Okay,
place. You
good.
need a better
Safer.
police
Yeah.
safe facility, whether it be a reno of one or a new one. You need something new and safe.
Okay, good.
So I think that's probably fine.
If it's what is, then, to me, that's fine.
What is.
This is reality.
Okay, good.
Right.
Don't let him talk.
So it's just definitely is something that it's not something that you should not think strongly about when you're doing it. You just wanna make sure you put information out there, accurate information, where the information isn't designed to sway voters one way or the other on the ballot question.
Can I ask you just one more question? As a sitting member, and actually, we all kind of made our positions clear, right? Like, I made no bones about the fact that I support a new police station. That's okay, though? Okay.
Madam President, I'd like to share a little good news. Pumpkin Fest is on for Sunday. So there was discussion about canceling it tomorrow. It's on for Sunday. So if you want to disseminate information, that might be a great venue.
That's good, thank you.
It's just that, at 7:58, I was informed that Pumpkin Fest is going to take place on Sunday.
Well, that's good.
Madam President, I'm going to just weigh in one more time. I think based upon what we're hearing from Bond Counsel, I think as far as paying for advertisement, you should just use the explanation of the ballot question that's in the packet that was part of the bond question. There's an explanation. You should use the explanation of it and say that there's going to be an election. on November 7, 2023,
Yep.
for this reason. That should be your advertisement. And there will be forums
To further explain.
explaining the options, because it's in there, it says
What
renovate.
happened to those
or-
flyers?
So I think advertisement that you're spending money on should just be an advertisement that there's a bond question on November 7th. And here, not to put, don't put the bond question there, there's an explanation of the bond question.
Right.
If you look at the materials I sent you, I think the explanation, it explains what it is a little bit simpler than the
actual
legal language. And I'm just suggesting that we can talk about that, but I think that's what the council should be focused on as far as advertisement. It's about paying for the advertisement. That you
Right.
can't, obviously, a council can individually advocate for or against the project. That's not what bond council's saying. It's saying the town cannot spend town money on a lobbying campaign saying to do it. You can only let the people know with town money that it's happening.
So
And I'll get the exact-
informational only, may I read this into the, just so folks know? So the explanation states, approval of this question would authorize the town of North Smithfield to issue bonds or notes in an amount not to exceed 18 million for the development and construction of a new police station or the renovation, improvement, alteration, and repair of an existing building to be used as a police station as determined by the town council and the furnishing and equipping thereof. So that's the explanation. It's more concise.
It's a little bit more,
Right.
less legal
Yeah.
than the actual.
I see.
The ballot question that I had drafted that went to the Secretary of State's office, did it include the explanation at the bottom, and are they allowing you to do that, put the explanation there?
It did include it. I don't know if they're, I don't have a confirmation.
Sometimes they won't permit that, depending upon, space and other stuff,
But we could use it for, you're saying for advertising and have that in a newspaper of general circulation.
Right, and the notice that goes in, that is going to be published in the newspaper and posted in, I forget how many places in town. Three local public locations, and advertise at least once in a newspaper of local circulation.
Can you stand up here again,
Sorry.
please? I'm sorry, because no one will hear you forever.
So the notice that's going to be published in the newspaper by the Board of Canvassers by law has to be published at 3 local public locations, at least 3, and in a newspaper of local circulation prior to the election. It has to, and there's a listing of things that it has to contain. So one of them is the number of the question, the brief caption of the question, which is what you just actually read, an explanation of the measure, that is the subject matter of the question, the typical voter fraud notice that is a statutory requirement. If the public question involves the issuance of bonds, it has to contain additional information. Estimated total cost of the project or program, including financing, using a reasonable assumed rate of interest, legal and other costs. So you have to, so there should be something that comes in with that. The useful life of the project, the estimated useful life of the project, the term of the bonds, 20 years, 30 years, whatever. And a reasonably detailed description of the project, its purposes, and a project timetable. So those are the things that have to be included in this Board of Canvassers notice that, by statute. And that's possibly something that can be passed out at your forums, something like that. You know, you said you have the, the impact on the tax rate, for this particular, right, okay. So, that's something that people want to know. They want to know time frame. They want to know, did they tell you what fiscal year the tax rate will impact? So, because you're probably pushing out.
They broke it down 2 different ways.
Okay. Okay, so,
So just go back to.
Informative. Be
just-
informative,
yeah.
not suggestive.
So going back to my question about the renovation, with the escalation in it, it's gonna be higher than our ballot, like our bond here. So does that,
And it's also significantly more square footage, I think.
yeah, so does that make a difference when?
When you say the escalation.
Well, because this price is from when?
2021, I believe.
2021, and now, you know,
So what
we're
it
looking
costs
at,
then.
I think you just give them the 18 million, because that's your that's the bond amount that's being authorized. So I think they want to probably know what the 18 million.
but we couldn't do that renovation for 18 million.
You do it for, you're saying it's less, the renovation is less.
No,
It'll
it'd be
be
more.
more.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Tecton
This is
did-
what- this is-
Tecton did a study.
Okay.
The council requested a study of Tecton. Tecton was hired to do the study. And they went through and looked at the building, the existing building, and what the deficiencies were. And they met with the police department and went through and did a whole program of what their needs were. Then they looked at what the needs were and how much space they needed.
Okay,
And then they looked at the deficiencies of the building, and in order to bring the building up to code, they needed to make additions to that building because they couldn't use some of those existing spaces.
okay. Then I still think you definitely do just the 18 million. No matter, if you do a renovation or a new building, you can only do 18 million.
That's the reality.
So
of it.
that's the dollar amount you're going to present there, and that's the dollar amount that you're going to, that the tax rate will be based on, whatever the financing is on the 18
You
million.
can't spend more than 18 million, we know that.
Right, but I'm just wondering about showing renderings of something that we can't do, basically.
I know that it's part of what Tecton is going to be presenting on why these things don't work as part of the fact-finding thing, that we looked at this, so that people can't say, did you look at this? No, they're gonna show that we looked at this, this was the cost.
But isn't that
But-
lobbying for a new building?
Right, that
Yeah.
isn't not what it won't work. We never said that. We are asking to have more options for people, not fewer options. So to say, as you just stated, this is what Tecton will say won't work, I don't think that's true. What it would have worked had we agreed to do it. What we did is ask them to go back and reduce the cost, reduce the square footage, the footprint of the building, and come up with a more reasonable dollar amount.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, I think you would say without value engineering, renovation looks like right now that it would be more costly than the 18 million, so we're giving you, we can only borrow 18 million, so we're giving you the facts and the amounts and, the total project cost based on an $18 million project, whether that be new or renovation at this point.
Okay, so that, see, we're not
So-
gonna be doing the presentations, Tecton is going to be, so you
Mhm.
have to alert them of what,
They're just gonna give all
Bond
the
Counsel.
history of what they went through to get to the point that they're at.
right? But if someone asks about a renovation, they have to be ready to answer that question honestly.
Mhm.
No matter what, we can only do 18 million.
Correct.
So, and it's up to the town council to pick new versus renovation.
Yeah.
Why you would pick renovation with it being more costly, I don't know, but that's.
It's a long story. We're coming to the end.
All right, thank you so much,
Thank you
Ellen.
very much, Ellen.
And based on what Ms. Cornell said, we're gonna go with this flyer. This flyer, she said, meets requirements and covers what we
With
should
the
be covering.
picture?
So that's what I will be sending to the administrator.
But
You don't
she
think it
doesn't
should
like
have
the picture.
I don't, because that's a new building, right?
That's
Mhm.
right.
New building.
The conceptual
right.
rendering.
But it's still a new building. And,
Pictures, people like pictures, people get excited about pictures, so
Yeah.
you don't wanna potentially sway anybody.
So should they just add pictures of the building as it is now?
Oh, God, no.
No, I mean,
that would be
to
nice.
like
They're
show
part, they're
that,
part of the original study that was done. There are pictures in that original study that was done.
no, but to show that,
Was it with or without the
not
front
renovated
fence?
versus a new build.
You need the pictures, is that what you're saying? I mean, this is very unusual.
Can you get up here again?
We don't know what actually the project is at this point, so this is a little.
Right, so if we don't know, wouldn't it be in our best interest not to provide the public with a particular rendering that they then say, hey, you told me that's what I was gonna get?
Right, because that's
Right?
exactly how they will,
They'll interpret it that way, right? Yeah.
That makes.
But this is where it gets confusing to me and to my board, because maybe you can weigh in on this, and I know that the council can vote to go a different direction. But the council has already taken a vote to look at a new building at 575 Smithfield Road. That's the direction that the task force was given.
We didn't take a vote. We asked you to look at another option other than what had been
No,
presented.
Ms. Hamilton,
right?
on February 9th
We
of
took a vote?
2022, a vote was taken by the council.
On what date?
February 9th of
Oh, that wasn't me.
2022, a vote was taken by the council, voted 4-1. I did not vote for it because I didn't like the way it was worded.
That was the previous council, correct?
But that's the
But that was a-
last, but that's the last vote that was taken, that's the last direction that the task force was given, was to find a solution for a new building. So all of these machinations that we've been going through have been to find a workable solution for a new building at 575 Smithfield Road. That's the last vote that was taken by the council.
So is a vote that was taken years ago something
Not
that
years.
has to be, I mean, how does that work? If the vote,
It's been a long process.
we can
One of the
change the
along the
vote, we
way.
can decide differently on different things from term to term and council to council. You're not bound by that.
Take a new vote. That's the only answer I can tell you.
Well, we
Take a
took-
new vote, and I think
Let's
bond
take a
council would say the same thing. You can vote any way you want, but the last vote that we were given was a new building, and that's why we went down this road. And I've been saying that meeting after meeting after meeting, the direction that we've gotten was a new building.
Building.
Nothing has changed since that time. If you want to change it, change it. I can't stop you. I don't control that. But the last direction that we were given months ago was new building. That's why we're looking at a new building, because we've ruled out those other things. At a vote of the council said, a new building at 575 Smithfield Road. All I can tell you is the direction that we were given. That's the road we've been going down. We've been giving no other direction to look, oh, we want to look at renovation now, we want to look at this. It's been talked about, but no direction has ever changed saying we don't want to build a new building. The last vote that the council took and gave us direction was a new building at 575 Smithfield Road.
Well, speaking for myself, like I said when I started, I never voted to do that. I wasn't on the council then. I am still of the
No, you aren't.
ilk that we have another option that could be less expensive for voters and provide a safe environment. I think we have an obligation to look at that.
Now I'm a little confused. What option do we have? That's,
No, I said, I think we should be looking
Oh,
at
okay.
a potential other option, you know, the renovation part, right? If that's something that is palatable, if that's something that people feel they can afford, if that's something that provides a safe environment, I think we have to have that as an option. So I never took a vote.
I never said that you did. All I said was the town council gave us direction. And you can be bound by your successors.
well, this debate can continue
Yeah.
Yeah.
after the election.
Okay.
Because that's when we actually have to make a choice, right? At some point, we're gonna have to make a choice as to the direction we're gonna go.
Don't worry.
And we
people
can,
will
this,
get on
and
it.
so it's pointless now to have this debate, because it's all theoretical. So why don't we see if the bond passes, and if the bond passes, we can have this debate right now about renovation versus new, all over again. We can sit here and do this all over again.
Good.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
All right, so is there anything regarding future public hearings or no?
Are we good
right?
with those?
Just, we only, I mean, that's all we can do, right?
We have those dates. Maybe others will become available. I can't answer for Tecton. They will, do you want them to provide bigger renderings of the different projects that they've looked at?
I would want them to do what they've
Obviously, the
done.
flyer, we're gonna do the flyer to pass out.
Yeah,
We're
we don't
gonna
have
do
to
that
reinvent the wheel,
in-house.
though, right? Let them, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Let's have them do what they've done in the past in other communities with police stations.
Right, but do you want them to do it, or do you want them to produce the artwork and then you do it? That's the option. You have two options.
You mean for the flyer?
No,
No.
the flyer we're gonna do in-house, we've already discussed that. We know which one we're going with, I'm gonna have that, he'll have that. If you want like bigger renderings of what the building is gonna look like and some of the other things, rather than just looking at them on here, so that if you're at something, you can leave them up and people can see them.
Because there's no.
If you want those things done, they can send us the artwork.
Yeah.
The administrator, the finance director can go out looking for quotes and get them printed somewhere.
I mean, the only
Or
public
you
thing
can
we have
authorize,
is,
or you can
Pumpkin
authorize
Fest.
Tecton
That's
with a
Sunday.
not to exceed amount to have them printed by their firms that they work with,
Me?
and they'll have
We
them.
have the meeting, or it's, Madam President, is this acceptable during the meeting?
Mike? Mike,
Mr. Cook.
but our only public event is Sunday, so we don't have time to get anything.
What do you mean? You could have these pictures up. You could have these pictures sitting up on easels in here when the planning board comes in, when the zoning board is in here. They could be up with the notice that, hey, there's another meeting on this date.
See when they can have them done. I mean, the 20th is next week, so.
The first one is, but then you have two more. It's gonna go on for another month.
Bring it in, we'll get it out.
So if you want me to have Tecton do some renderings,
I mean,
authorize a number not to exceed and have them,
But Ellen, can we do that? Can we have pictures? No, right? We just
said
talked
that,
about
yeah.
this, right?
they're not saying to vote yes. They're pictures.
But we're basically telling them, hey, look what we have, say yes, so. Right, isn't this nice?
Well, let's be
Ellen?
equal. Show them what we
They
have
do have a right to
now,
see the new building.
and show them what this will be.
So there aren't any pictures of the old, there's no renderings of the renovation.
Yeah, there is.
They're awesome.
It's been done for like 2.5 years. This book.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the one we had.
There are pictures
Surprise.
of the renovated addition project.
Okay,
There are pictures of that.
I think then you can put pictures of both, not necessarily on this flyer, but when you have the forum, you can put pictures of both. And you can say, it's not determined yet, and I would actually put, where you see conceptual rendering, I would kind of put a watermark through it like that, just bigger, but you can do pictures of both, but obviously you have to just be clear throughout that the decision is still with the town council. So, to be determined by the town council.
If you want those changes made.
So,
Okay.
I think you just have to.
We need a mic for you.
You just have to really stay very neutral in it, so if there's any
Is this okay
question.
for the weekend now?
Yeah, I
The
think,
reality
I
is
mean,
if I have to send it back for changes, it may not get back here.
yeah, obviously with the approval of the town council, whatever you guys decide on which flyer, but yeah, this is fine. I would definitely put as to be determined by the town council.
So we can't technically then show pictures of that nice new building and then pictures of the existing building with a fence around the front, so the bricks don't fall on anybody's head. We can't show that, right?
Why not?
No, I'm just asking, seriously. So we have to show a rendering of a renovation, not the current state of the police station, right?
I think you can, that's a fact, what's there is a fact.
That's a
I
fact.
mean,
That's right.
I
All right,
think
that's,
you can,
yeah.
I mean,
That's why I'm asking, all right. So we can.
this is the reason why we're asking you
Exactly.
to
I agree.
do this bond issue, yes,
Okay.
this is why.
This is the reason why we're asking you.
So, yes, I
Thank you.
mean,
All right. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Huh?
Motion to adjourn.
So we have to vote on one of, did you find out which flyer
Yes.
that Ellen approved?
Yes.
Okay.
So should we vote on that flyer? Do we need to take a vote on it? Thank you.
We're gonna make a little change to it after.
As soon as I get the approved town council flyer. I will print out maybe a couple hundred of them for initial dissemination of Pumpkin Fest.
And we'll make some changes, we'll get the edited.
Are you good with this?
Yeah.
With the addition you said on this? What did you say, correction or addition you're putting on it?
With addition.
It says to be
To be
determined, she
determined.
wants it to say by town council,
So that
but
will
I
be
won't have
added.
that made until.
But that's the only
in time.
change. Okay, so do we want to vote on this? That that's the one we want?
The pictures being removed? Is the picture being removed or the picture's staying? I don't know what picture's on there.
To the rendering?
Is it staying on there?
With a little bit bigger
Yeah.
conceptual rendering.
Okay.
Okay. You wanna make a motion?
Okay, make a motion to approve the flyer for the North Smithfield Police Station bond ballot vote with addition of language stating that to be determined by the town council.
Okay, that's a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Okay.
Last question. Would you like Tecton to provide you with renderings, to bring them with them through their vendors? Or do you want them to send artwork and then us to get quotes and get them done and down the road?
I think anything that can make one less step
Is a,
is a plus,
They,
'cause
they work with vendors.
That's what I'm
and,
saying.
Yeah.
They
I
work with,
support
they work
having
with
them do
vendors
it.
and it may be more advantageous,
Right.
both price-wise and time-wise,
I
to
mean,
have
it's gonna
them deal
be-
with their vendors.
Can I just confirm what when you're speaking about big poster boards, is it pictures? Because or is
They're
it just?
They're renderings,
pictures,
They're pictures.
renderings,
drawings.
they're drawings.
So you advise not to do that, right, Ellen?
No, I think if you're gonna have, I would, at the forums that you're doing, I would definitely have pictures.
One of
both,
each,
so it
the
doesn't look like you're
renovation,
advocating
okay.
one. However, you can say, it appears that costs for a new building will be X. We haven't priced the renovation in a couple of years, but when we priced it, it was Y, and because of this, you
Right,
know,
all these drawings, they,
but the determination of renovation versus new building lies with the council and will be made short after the
After
bond
the
issue.
vote, right.
all these conceptual drawings, Ms. Corno, also have floor plans with them and price estimates with them. So it's not like it's just, oh, here's a pretty picture. There is a lot of information that goes with it.
So I'm sure if they just send us the digital, we can just go to Staples or something and just get 2 poster boards. I mean, instead of
Yep.
asking them to create. I mean, is everyone okay with that, or?
Whatever's fastest,
yep.
as long as it doesn't have to come before us and approve it all over again.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, as long as we know what we're getting, we're gonna get a picture of each, right? The renovation and the new build, and then we can get poster board made of each, so we can have it in here when we have the forums, right? That's what we're gonna do, right?
That's what you want?
Well, that's what we can do, right? So, yeah.
There may be I'm just saying, there may be other display boards that you may want, and that's why I'm saying, do you want to leave it to Tecton to make that decision, or do you want to decide? Because then you guys have to say to me, I want this picture, we want this layout, we want that layout.
We just want one picture of each. We don't wanna get ourselves in a situation that it looks like we're swaying more one way or the other. So one picture of the renovation, one picture of the new build, and I think that's it.
How about another picture of the old building? And what's inside it now?
Oh, yeah. But I think that I think the meeting on October 24th will look very different than the meeting on September 20th, because as the meetings go along, we're gonna say, oh, maybe we should have this at the next meeting. And then by the time we get to the 24th, we're gonna realize that, all right, after hearing the questions and everything from the last 2 meetings, we should have this at this meeting, and
Right, we're just gonna
they'll
make
get-
sure that we're not,
they'll keep getting better.
I was just offering an option
All right.
to have Tecton produce all this stuff they have it, they bring it. It just seemed easier, and you guys set a number, not to exceed number.
No, we wouldn't even.
And I don't know what it would be, because
that would
I
be,
don't
right, so,
I don't print this stuff, so I can't say to you, oh yeah, I
No,
only
it
needed
just
$1,000.
complicates it.
I don't know what the number would be, but if you give me a not to exceed number, it may be the way to go, and have them bring this stuff, and then if there are additional things that you want, or things that you don't want, then we just get rid of them. Or we add them. But, I mean, they've done this. This is not their first rodeo.
Right.
Jeff has told us he's done 130-something police stations, public safety complexes. It's
So we
not
also
their
have
first
to make
time.
sure that and the ones that he was going to, whether or not their ballot question was specifically build a new station, where ours is build or renovate. So we need to cover both, so I don't wanna have 5 pictures of a new build and 1 picture of let's just get 1 picture of each, that way we don't get ourselves into any situation, and then
We're
they
not
can speak to it.
influencing.
I think we don't need to get ourselves into an area that we shouldn't be going into.
Do you want Tecton to provide those?
No, if you
No.
get digital, then we can just get them made at Staples.
You may not have them for Wednesday then. I can just tell you that.
Probably
okay.
not.
Tecton, if you
If
go through.
Tecton does it, do we have it?
Hmm?
Tecton does it.
We'll have a
We'll have
projector,
it
all
one
right?
day.
So-
Yeah, we're
Very-
gonna have,
very good.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
all right. Any other questions?
No.
All right, motion to adjourn?
No, well, we gotta approve it's on the agenda, approve the dates. Is that already done?
I think we already did. We already
already
approved those, it
approved
was for
those.
future other ones.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Correct.
Yeah, well, they haven't, right,
they
so,
haven't given us more, so,
okay, so,
Those dates are good?
yeah, we already did those,
Okay.
it was additional ones that they were supposed to give
All right.
us. Yeah.
motion to adjourn?
Aye, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Ellen.